Hey, and welcome to the Thrive Studio broadcast. It was very, very exciting to have Shabbos Kestenbaum joining us right now. Shabbos is at Harvard University and has an amazing story and really inspiring students. Thank you, Shabbos, so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Could you tell a little bit of background first? How did you end up going to Harvard? Was it something that you had always dreamed of?
My parents were not born in the US, they're from the UK, and they moved here really to chase the American dream. So they were very proud of me when I got accepted to Harvard. And then, of course, contrasting that just 2 years later, how disappointed they are in, of course, Harvard's actions or lack thereof as it pertains to Jewish students. But it got into my head that I wanted to study religion from an academic perspective, really just to hear that side, something that I wouldn't be accustomed to afterwards. And I applied, didn't think much of it, didn't really think I'll get in. And to make a very long story short, I actually found out I got accepted while I was in Auschwitz-Birkenau. Quite quickly, I realized that it wasn't what I was expecting, unfortunately, in a very negative way. There was pervasive, I would say, anti-Semitism and a lack of real intellectual discourse and rigor. And then certainly post-October 7th, it kind of just escalated.
Okay, and you said even before October 7th, right, Simchat Torah, that you had already started feeling and seeing things that you couldn't really believe. What do you mean by that? What was the perspective overall at Harvard, both from staff and from students, in terms of how you felt being Jewish and how people reflected that towards you?
Sure. So I think what makes this story really concerning and distressing is the fact that we're talking about Harvard, which purports, proudly so, to train the next generation of American leaders, has a disproportionate amount of policymakers and those in power who are alums from the university. Literally, my first semester, really my first month, the fact that a rabid anti-Semite, Mohammed El-Kurd, who just 3 weeks ago at a rally in London said that we, quote, need to normalize massacres, he was invited to speak on campus. This is someone who said that Jews eat the organs of Palestinians, said that the Israeli occupying forces have internalized the ways of Nazi Germany. I mean, there's a whole laundry list of his anti-Semitism, so much so that the Anti-Defamation League has him on, the top 10 anti-Semites of the world. And it was quite telling that not only was he invited to speak, but he was welcomed and celebrated by a really broad range of campus groups. And when Jewish students, myself included, peacefully protested and went to the administration saying, hey, you have a strong track record of not inviting racists or misogynists or homophobes. Why is there this exception when it comes to Jew haters? And we were met with shrugs, we were met with indifference, we were met with, well, there's not much we can do. And as I said, this was my first month. So that was really a rude awakening of the double standard